that already there is no known process or strategy that is already in the construction industry that could be utilized to align the owner and the contractor or resources in a strategic manner. Moreover, main causes of misalignment are depicted in the following bullets. Late scope changes, which already could be related to the owner scope, and late changes in the project end life cycle, poor communication, and poorly developed teams, including integrated product teams and production teams, poor partnership strategies management, and construction execution plan, including the development of construction business development model. This slide shall reflect and address the 7 deadly sins in the industrial mega project, and I'm going to elaborate on each item of the following. I want to keep it all. Many industrial mega projects affect many more people than just those investors, and those affected personnel will need input about the project, how it's being organized and executed. In the meantime, the value of allocation that this project has been determined. If these stakeholders are not satisfied that the allocation is fair, this stakeholder is going to disrupt the project and render it unmanageable. Disruption kills mega industrial projects because these projects are inherently fragile, and when they break, they tend to shatter. The second item I want to hit yesterday, the drive for speed results in outrunning project and affect the main project activities like basic technical data development, stakeholder alignment, permitting the requirement, front-end loading development, and business deal itself. Because the industrial mega projects are complex and tightly interconnected, so they can't recover from the cut corners, and there are no workaround strategies that actually work well. The third item will just work out the details of the deal later. This item represents that already the contours of the business deal should be and must be worked out before being the project scope is developed. So how we are going to generate a large enough revenue stream? How is the cost tax regime of the resources going to be adjusted to fit the economic realities? In addition to that, how well the downside risk will be divided between the owner and the contractor, and how well the upside will be divided also. So the business deal shapes the project, but the project cannot shape the business deal. For the item why we wanted to spend so much up front, the front end of the project, before we can authorize the project, is the time for defining the project scope, and also is the time for the planning, the execution in detail. Meanwhile, already this represents what is done and what is not done on the front end that has a more bearing on the mega project industrial outcomes than anything else. Sometimes people stated that already this is too expensive. It is represent about 3 to 5% of the total eventual cost. But already finally, they stated that already people are in the form of being frugal. Item number 4, let cast the cost estimate down. I got many mega projects die when the first full cost estimate is being prepared, and that's a good thing. What is not a good thing is that already the business response when to an estimate that already is higher than budget is sharpen your pencil, because the cost estimate is a reflection of the scope of the project that already are going to do. In addition to that, the circumstances in which you already are going to do your project and must deal with. Nearly about 20% of mega industrial projects in our database attempted a cost reduction exercise just before or after the authorization. Finally, this affects project badly, and cost estimate should be expected to be developed in a realistic and solid, based on solid justification. Let contractor carry out the risk. We are often attempt to transfer cost risk to the contractor in the form of lump sum and fixed price contracting and put a ceiling on the cost. However, in the meantime, in the mega industrial project, Risk transfer is rarely actually occur, and when it does occur, it is necessarily economically inefficient. Because the contractor are non-capitalized variable cost firm, and they have a very limited ability to carry the large equity type risk and the price risk very aggressively, so they are forced to do that. Mainly, it is not a gouging, but already simple common sense. Fire those project managers who overrun the project. Mainly, the high failure rate for the project is related to the problem of unaccountability. But those actually responsible for project failure are almost never being those actually blamed. And you are searching for scapegoats every morning. But already for that, you have of the 207 projects that already have been surveyed by independent project analysis in the United States, it was found that already the project management was culpable in less than 10% of these cases of failure. And this overwhelmingly, the source of failure was related to mainly the business that shaped the project and already employ this project.
دكتور لو سمحت هنا.
Mainly, generally, the alignment between owner and the contractor are outlined in the following. The owner should have a high safe quality project with a cost and schedule certainty, and the contractor should deliver a high safe quality project with cost and schedule certainty based on established schedule and cost and relevant budget to be the project on track and on budget. There are common approaches to alignment between owner and the contractor, which are outlined in the following approaches. First, contractor-owner alignment session, including bid explanation meeting, two-way contract negotiation, project kickoff meeting, a regular alignment session, plus war rooms and to connect bridge to engine room and the project. Secondly, executive sponsor program that already reviews the project portfolio and review their performance, assess their achievement, and then find and corrective action if there is a variance from the established milestones or performance baselines. Third, the contract risk apportion between owner and the contractor depending on the type of the contract, either lump sum, fixed price, reimbursable fixed price with incentive fee, and so on. Measure area for alignment and misalignment. It includes quality problem in the delivery of service and the product, missed deadlines or failure with respect to the agreed upon milestones and relevant deliverable, lack of the knowledge of responsibilities between owner and the contractors, lack of follow-up of the deadline, quality and the actual cost, fewer performance indicators represent a lack of visibility on the project activities and high dedication to activities with low added value, in addition to planning effort that require further replanning, safety, and the inconsistencies between the project objectives for the contractor and owner, lack of a change management and the change management procedure philosophy to incorporate the change in a formal way to reduce scope creep and already maintain the performance baselines that have established for the project earlier. The previous slide lead us to this slide about the importance of front-end planning. Front-end planning starts out by definition or determination of the customer objectives and priorities and their special requirements that already could be listed in the elicitation phase of the business planning phase. Then, followed by preparation of the scope of work and including relevant assumptions, constraints in the statement of work, determination of the stakeholder rules, authorities, expectation, and the desire, and try to resolve the competing interests. After that, determination of risk, opportunity, and the action to deal with the risks and the opportunities. Further, preparation of execution strategy, followed by the preparation of execution plan, and finally, determination of the cost estimate and the milestone schedule that led finally and ultimately to front-end design engineering. All of these steps require close collaboration with customer to ensure that already established objectives and the requirements are mutually agreed upon between the owner and the contractor. This will result in reducing or eliminating the conflict and further disputes and other mediations based on the contractual obligation and its relevant terms and conditions. The following chart represents an industry research confirms the importance of front-end planning and make a comparison between the project employing an effective front-end loading and the project.
What is meant by
Front-end planning based on the definition of IACCE. Front-end planning represents is a cycle of stages from the business initiation, business case study, and then proposal package, and after that, finally, we reach to the gate of the front-end engineering, feed or basic. After that, this front-end phase ends out, and then we start the execution phase of detailed engineering, construction, procurement, commissioning, startup, till handover to the owner.
kind of plan?
It's a kind of planning. For the industry research performed by Construction Industries Institute surveyed about more than 600 projects between projects employing effective front-end planning and the project doesn't employ front-end planning. We found these differences between that already the project employing front-end planning has 10% less cost, 7% shorter schedule, and 5% fewer changes. This table represents summarization of what have been discussed in the previous slide in order to reduce risks, capture opportunities, and exploit it, and make use of proper change management. With respect to the following element scope, we should ensure that the scope is well out-defined, and if not well out-defined, we can initiate a phase or initial phase for defining the project scope, but we shouldn't proceed into ABC project or ABCM maternity project with a poorly defined scope of work because this will result in many variation orders and finally claims and disputes. The other item with respect to the risk, it's related to the risk apportionment between contractor and owner. We should place the project risk after agreement to the party has the most control over the outcome. And we shouldn't assume that both parties have a common risk vision. Front-end planning, we should give a time in front of the project in order to define the scope well, determine the rule and rules, authorities, responsibilities in a very concise way, and develop a sound execution strategy and its relevant plan. We shouldn't jointly give front-end plan short shrift in order to get shovel in the ground early, which means the construction phase. With respect to the communication and the trust, we should establish an open, trust in the communication through building an environment conducive to such attitudes. And we shouldn't allow us versus we culture to be developed. We should prevent surprises through disciplined and effective project controls and measures through regular project meeting, following and adhering strictly to procedure, standard, and what have been established in the contract with respect to its terms and conditions and its attachment of the scope of work and others. We shouldn't drop bombshells in the interface meeting. For change control, we have to establish a formal change control philosophy and methodology to employ the change in a very effective and efficient way by establishing a change control board within our organization and could be represented within the quality function department or other department in our organization, but we shouldn't jointly confuse management of funding with the change control. These slides represent a case study for a building construction project. One of the large construction company that values and manages construction projects around the world, and some of their more complex work in its hospital project. In this case, there are a number of change requests, change order, and requests for information, building decision awaiting for government regulatory agency approval that already had pushed a $500 million project into a crisis. In addition to that, already owner and the prime contractor were faced by an escalating change order based on or factored into many factors related to growing quality, owner, changing requirement, and other series of contractual obligation changes. Consequently, the overall contingency funding had been depleted at an accelerated rate, and all the project partners from the owner, contractor, architecture, and the other organization relationship become strained. The leadership group was concerned about this issue because already there is no effective meeting for the owner, architect, and contractor. In addition to that, having a cost of many professional and consultant available on site, charging professionally highly rate. By investigating this issue and determining the root cause of the problem, we start out to resolve the problem by identifying the root cause and searching for a corrective action to eliminate this root cause to prevent the recurrence of such a problem. This has been resulted in agreed upon conclusion and action outlined in facilitation of meeting with each of its main group leader to elicit their perspective and concern about the main issues that result in this problem and disputes, and what should be done better to align with other group and the individual. Development of agreement between all groups on the key issues that we shall work out following the Pareto principle. Pareto principle has been developed from the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, which already the vital view. 20% of the error and the factor representing the 80% of the problem. So if we eliminate the 20% of this problem, already we could enhance 80% of our benefits. Aligning of representatives to focus on the key initiative on all projects and setting a structure coaching with owner and general contractor for the purpose of creating an environment to conducive to mutual trust, freewheeling communication, and you can express your opinion without being fear of blame or disciplinary action. Accelerating decision to replace the incumbent architect and help integrate the replacement. It is part of our work to integrate the new project team member in our team, because already this takes time to be developed and acquire the required skills and to be familiar with the scope of work. The outcomes, cost hemorrhaging was stopped, the project was finished on schedule. There is no post-project litigation among the 17 organizations involved in project planning and execution, created more productive and conducive environment for all building partners, reduced or eliminated conflict of all kinds by improving the way we communicate with each other, removing roadblocks in front of the schedule and rework that already facilitate to have an approved construction schedule and lay a way for our partner to have a fair and open, trusting way in conducting their business. Conclusion: the following methodology are being applied to ensure alignment of owner and contractor expectation. Connect bridge to engine room on the project by project sponsor meeting to review the project portfolio and determine their performance, listen to others, and take a corrective action by following BIG5 cycle, one of the methodologies that have been developed by Stewart and further enhanced by Edward Deming in the United States of America also. Finally, ensure quality of interpersonal communication, error-free document, issue resolution, and shared reliability through contract risk apportionment between owner and the contractor according to the development of the terms and conditions in the contract itself. This is a reference that have been captured in our presentation. So if there are any question, I'm ready to answer.
At the end, did we succeed 100% to align the contract with at the end of this wonderful session, did we succeed 100% to
No.
align the owner with the contractor?
No,
No.
no, because it depends on the culture of the organization and the culture of the country itself. The culture difference is already could be related to regional culture and the national culture and the international culture. So culture diversity has a factor in achieving our objective. For example, in United Kingdom, when they plan to make a project in an Islamic country, they started out to make a socio-economic study but ignores the culture difference. So one of their best attitudes to get encouragement from stakeholder and the support to take part of corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility, they started out to build a water closet and sanitation system, but already joint sanitation system for men and women plus each other, and in the direction to Qibla. So people reject to enter
To go
this.
to the toilet.
Rejected to enter this this area.
Maybe no.
They failed. The project is failed and already has been recorded in their books in England by Mr. Angle Smith, as I could remember. He determines that already the major failure is not embracing the culture difference of other countries. So the culture is the root for achieving success.
Even in one culture, we diverge.
Yes,
Okay.
depending on the regional locations and
Yeah. Diversity in the same country and in the same
Yes, I
region,
know that.
we are different. You know, people is the problem. People is the question.
yeah.
You know, and even in one country and in one culture, everyone is unique.
Yeah,
You know, so we have to unite. Okay, thank you.
you are welcome.
Thank you.
I think one of the major conflict that we may face the descendants of the interest by the central bank and the effect of this on the price of the end product, and if the bodies will accept the escalation equation when a contractor wants to put it in the contract. And so I want you to highlight this in the framework of your elegant presentation.
Okay, you are correct, but already I have stated this in two areas. The area of how is the cost tax regime of the resource is getting to be adjusted in order to meet our economic realities. And the other item I have stated about this issue, including the inflation and the deflation for the money, including the time value for money, was included in attempt to contracting through lump sum fixed price and equity type risk and price risks. This included what you have stated about interest of the central bank, because inflation and deflation for sure has an effect, but many contracts take into consideration the economic adjustment on the long range plan. That is from my own perspective.
It's a great expectation for both sides. A great expectation for both sides.
Yes.
One side will expect the landlords and the owners will expect that the prices will go down.
Yeah.
And the contractor will expect the price will go up due to this, the very same 150 points that the interest rate being descended. So, what is the best formula from your own experience that will make them match and go satisfied both ways.
Global inflation, F equal I for minor I for F node, for Fg equal I F node. So this is the formula of equation to deal with inflation, according to my own experience. That's all. Yes. Yes. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for this great presentation, but I need to take, if there is one tool very important used in this mega project to make it as a success factor, what do you suggest?
I don't hear you correctly.
If there is one tool that we need to follow as a success factor in this mega project, what do you suggest? Tell me.
I suggest the consistency of the project objective between owner and the contractor. For example, I will tell you example from also a project in the United States. Project starting with determining the life cycle model. Life cycle model including stages and phases from the project conception ultimately to the project disposal. In the project conception, we have two phases: conception, exploration, and research to determine the viable ideas, and conception selection, concept selection. In this phase, you can apply the part of the business planning through requirement elicitations from your different stakeholders to know their desires, expectations, and their requirements. Further, you can already develop a context diagram or a model diagram. Many diagrams are available at this point. You can further refine this requirement into a written requirement and well-defined requirement agreed upon all stakeholders, whether supporter, rejector to the project itself, neutral, and the other stakeholder topology. So when you define the final requirement that already should represent the business stakeholder requirement and further being refined in the system requirement specification that will lead further to the project scope of work to be firmed and freeze between the contractor and the owner, you can settle down the project objectives, constraints, priorities, goals, and start out to establish an excellent relationship between owner and the contractor by working together. Another example in the agile project management techniques, which already is different from the traditional project management technique. You can employ a sprint or a short review planning cycle. What is meant by sprint and Scrum Master? It's a kind of reviewing the requirement in iterative and incremental way. For example, the project with a poorly defined information in the technological advancement field and the highly system integration of high-tech, and including NASA and the Department of Energy of the United States and the Department of Defense in the United States. All of these organizations follow agile project methodology for obtaining the requirement, refining it in an iterative way. You should have an overall plan, then divide the plan into release cycle, and then divide the release into iteration, and the iteration itself into sprint. Each sprint has a certain type of iteration to perform, and you already can, and the customer is totally involved and participated in these iterations side by side. So he will define if there is a kind of error defect. If you would like to add more requirement, more information, you can update in the next iteration and so on. So from my own perspective, consistency of the project objective and priorities and settling down the project scope of work, one of the major success factors towards an ultimately success project.
Thank you.
Fitting contract, employing fitting contract, yes. So for sure, for a certain percentage, you could reduce the probability and the impact of this risk by employing the standard terms and conditions. But But in some project, we should tailor the terms and the condition to what already matching the project relevant circumstances and relevant status. Credit contract have many books. Red book, for example, for construction, silver for ABC, and the other, and I don't remember the remaining. They have a general provision and finally a particular provision to supersede some of the general provision. I believe so that already could reduce many of the project risk.
Why is the same way using B and why is this?
What is the
Revit.
Revit?
Revit.
Revit?
Yes.
Revit is kind of software based on Autodesk modeling techniques. Okay. We have many types of modeling. Modeling techniques. We have a formal modeling and informal modeling. Formal modeling is based on the physical and package modeling and use case activity diagram. But informal modeling is based on sketches and pictures and something and the imaging. So modeling techniques give a certain percent for reducing during the execution of the project after settling down the project so forth to determine the effect on the established project or product itself in a regular review cycle. But Revit is only dedicated for building itself, not for the whole project. Mostly.
Yeah. But I think it can minimize risk in modeling.
Can minimize error in engineering. Can minimize error in engineering, of course. Can minimize error in engineering, like clashes between different systems.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.